Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel.
Hello and welcome to the GenXplainers podcast, The Perfect Song. Today's song is Feeling Good by Nina Simone, and it was nominated by Mike. So Mike, why don't you give us just a little bit about this song?
There wasn't a whole lot of information of like the genesis of the song, except that it was originally written for a stage musical called The Roar of the Grease Paint, The Smell of the Crowd, which did not become like a major hit.
Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done. That's what I mean.
The song itself, however, became a major hit when Nina Simone took it to another level and created a soulful version of it.
Ooh, 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 and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel.
Her recording was what made the song popular. The musical itself did not make the song popular at all. But it was written by other people, which is a lot of songs in that era, especially in the 60s, were written by others. You know, we've talked about Carole King on other podcasts, stuff like that. Yeah. They wrote songs for other people, and that was a major thing back then. And so, I mean, Nina Simone herself is one of those iconic figures. She's on the level of like an Aretha Franklin for the genre, kind of a artist that people tend to cover a lot and also have impacted and influenced a lot of people.
Yeah, so, I did notice it was covered by a lot of people.
It was. Mm-hmm. Muse even covered
it. Right.
So it is one of those songs that has had dramatic effects on music, the art form, and also just in various genres.
Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
And so it is something that I think that to speak about is really, you have to go back to the original, but at the same time, you could talk about it as a song that could be translated in many different ways. So
yeah, and I think as a song, even though she's covering it too, I think most of those other covers were inspired by her version.
They are. What I find so interesting is that she takes a song that is about feeling good, and it's an empowerment song. And actually, I read about the original play. The play itself was about empowerment.
I think what I read was someone had written an article about the song itself. Basically, they said, it's a song of emancipation. It's about, I am finally free. It's not just like I'm feeling good because I'm free and it's always been this way. It is one of like, well, you know how I feel now, and I think in the play that was sort of the angle as well. But she really brings her soul to it and really just blows it up. So good.
Yeah. Well, one of the quotes that I highlighted in my notes was that the play, it was a quote unquote curious allegorical musical about power, class, and race. And that doesn't come through necessarily in the song itself. However, I can see how that would fit into that kind of narrative.
Yeah.
Because it is something that it's giving power to the person who's singing it. And that's what I find so interesting about this song.
Al, why don't you go talk about your, feelings about the song?
Sure. So I will say that I think it's a great song. I have yet to hear a Nina Simone song that I didn't love. And I love it's kind of sort of sparsely arranged at first, and then those horns come in part of the way through. It's very powerful, I think. And her voice, we spoke about this a little bit when we talked about a Eurythmics song. Her voice is the lead instrument in this song, and the arrangement gives her all of that kind of space, and she's just such a powerful force, not just through her voice, but you can feel the sheer force of her personality in her singing. And this song is fantastic.
Yeah, and like many powerful, groundbreaking songs, it was used in a Volkswagen commercial. I actually remember the commercial and the song with it.
Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel.
The first time I've heard the name or heard Nina Simone was a reference in a movie. I believe, Mike, I think it might have been multiple movies at the time. There was a big Nina Simone thing going on at the time because it was in a couple movies.
So this is Nina Simone.
Mm-hmm. You got her for me, remember?
She wants sugar in a bowl.
No, she's saying, ooh, baby, just stick it in me twice a day and I'll do anything for you. I'll lick the ground you walk on.
Yeah, there was a time where I realized that the references to her were in pop culture, but I really didn't discover her music really myself until later.
Yeah. And I think possibly it might have been the commercial, or sometimes that's what happens with songs. Like, I would not have necessarily been exposed to this song or Nina Simone songs growing up if my parents didn't listen to that, and they didn't, as far as I know. But like someone at an ad agency says, "This is a great song. We should put it with our footage of a car driving in the mountains," and then people hear it and go, "Wow, what is that?" And then it becomes this crazy like domino effect of gets popular again. But I think that's the first time I heard the name Nina Simone was in a movie. Someone referenced it.
I really want to go buy a car now.
Yeah, it makes me want to buy a Volkswagen Passat.
Yeah, well, when you hear the song, you do think of a Volkswagen Passat.
That's
so evocative of the power of a Passat.
So yeah, Alan, you mentioned the arrangement of it, how it starts out with just her voice, and then the sort of this really like swinging brass comes in, and it really takes off. And that makes it feel a little bit of its time, but it also just works perfectly to sort of match like. And then she comes and matches that kind of like power, with her voice. Yeah. And by the end, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the actual recording or if it's the fact that the way she interacts with it, but that, yeah, the arrangement is very typical for its time, but it has an extra swagger, I think, in this song.
Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
Pretty amazing where you turn a song about empowerment into something that's really sexy at the same time.
She adds that to it because that's her vocal delivery, and that's the passion. I mean, that passion could be like read as sexy, but could also just be read as like as passion, as like she's feeling something deep down and she's expressing it vocally. You know what I mean? And it's passion.
Yeah, and I think people, since we're talking about her, I think people should go watch the documentary about her called "What Happened, Miss Simone," which is freaking amazing.
I haven't watched it yet. I think it's on my list, like every other movie in the world.
It's such a great documentary about her, and this song plays a pivotal role in the actual documentary.
Nina was a real rebel. She didn't really fit in the revolutionary black female role that was offered her.
My freedom.
She was a kind of patron saint of the rebellion.
The little I know about her personal life, I think she was considered difficult. But if you're a genius, you can do that kind of thing.
Oh, especially if you're a woman genius.
Yeah, especially. Exactly. And that label is such a thing people put on women who are strong. You get into that. It's a different issue.
I've been called difficult too at times. So,
well,
Yes, but you've never been called a woman.
That's true. That's true.
That's true. You're always a woman to me and Billy Joel. We hope you're enjoying this GenXplainers podcast. Remember to find us and follow us on social media. Give us a like, a follow, or support us on Patreon. And we'd much appreciate a 5-star rating on the podcast platform of your choice. Now, let's get back to the show.
I'm feeling good.
All right, so yeah, okay, that's I think we all agree it's a great song. Very great song. Do we agree that it's a perfect song? Well, Mike, you go first. Your song.
I'm not sure we're all going to agree, but I do think it's a perfect song. Of all the songs we've discussed, it's one of my top of all time. So I do feel the song itself is perfect in many different ways, from what we've talked about, but also just its impact on the whole musical world too. So yeah, I do think it's perfect for the ways we discussed, but also just it's timeless. It really is. Like, you can listen to it now, listen to it when it came out, in 64, and still it's relevant now as it was back then. So
yeah. How about you, Al?
Perfect.
It is perfect.
It's perfect.
Well, I'm gonna say, yeah, it is. It's perfect. Yeah, it's fantastic and it's perfect. It can't be done better.
No, and a lot of people have tried.
And a lot of people tried. So
maybe they weren't trying to do it better, but they had tried. And
yeah, the other interpretations don't come near it, I think.
No.
So we all agree again. Perfect, perfect, perfect.
That's a turkey.
That's a turkey. That's right.
Bring in the bowling crowd.
The bowling demographic is a huge one. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Perfect Song. Nina Simone, you owe it to yourself to check out the catalog. And we will speak to you later. Say bye.
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 Bye. Thank you for listening to this GenXplainers podcast. Follow us on Instagram and friend us on Facebook. Just search for GenXplainers and find us on Patreon, where you can support the channel and gain access to extended cuts of the podcast as well as exclusive bonus content. See you next time.